This is music, and I don't hate glam metal. Not too long ago, our man Josh Keech posted a video called Why I Hate Glam Metal. Check out his channel, it's great. And also check out his EP, Warrior in the Clouds. Came out earlier this year. You can buy it on your, online music purchase services. Check it out, it's great. Instrumental metal. Now, he posted a video called Why I Hate Glam Metal. And it's a very good video, actually, a very interesting video, a very respectful video too. He doesn't trash talk people that like glam metal. He respects other people's taste in music. It's just a case he doesn't like glam metal, and he mentions some of the things he doesn't like about glam metal. So in a funny coincidence, I had actually on this same day grabbed a bunch of records in the wild that were mostly glam metal or glam metal adjacent records. So I figured it would be fun to kind of do a response video combined with an update haul video. And my response is not going to be antagonistic or hostile or very argumentative. And I even agree with Josh on some of the points he brings up. So I'm going to respect his opinions and his taste in music, just like I know he respects my taste in music and my opinions. So if you were looking for YouTube drama, the door is right there. Get out of here, you won't get it here. I'm actually not a major fan of glam metal myself, but a lot of bands I do like happen to be considered glam metal. So there you go. Now I grabbed a bunch of records and some CDs. Most of it I bought in Mint Records, a record store, but there are some records in the mix that I picked up from a seller on Discogs called Blacklight Records. Now, just to start out by showing you some CDs, not glam metal per se, but I would say glam metal adjacent. Lita Ford's Stiletto. I mean, her style of music is kind of like traditional metal, hard rock. Some of it leans a bit into glam metal. And she's a very, very, very good musician. I also grabbed the best of Lita Ford here. Very cheap. They have CDs and they have vinyl. They have a whole bunch of different things in Mint Records. And this one is not glam, but it's glam related because it's Mike Tramp's band. And he was from White Lion, and they are considered a glam band. Mike Tramp's band after he was done with White Lion. This is hard rock. This is an OG from Music for Nations, but it has been reissued on vinyl and I think in CD format as well on Mighty Music or Target Music or something, one of the Target Music sub labels. So now one of the things that Josh had a problem with regarding glam metal was that there were certain singing styles that he didn't like. He mentioned the sort of Rob Halford kind of singing style, sort of high-pitched falsetto, or at least very high-register voice that has made its way into glam metal. Personally, I generally don't have a problem with that way of singing. I'm a big fan of Rob Halford, one of my favorite singers actually. So I don't have a problem with that way of singing per se. There are some vocalists in glam metal that are better at that style than others for sure. He also mentioned the sleazy singing style, and I think that he's referring to the Vince Neil way of singing. So Vince Neil from Motley Crue and the guy from Rat as well. This is one of the records I picked up in Mint, Invasion of Your Privacy. This guy here, Stephen Percy. I'm not a super big fan of Rat. I've heard some songs that I like, including Body Talk, which I heard in a movie called Golden Child. But he also has that kind of sleazy singing style. I picked up another Rat record actually, Dancing Undercover. And to me, it's more like a case by case kind of scenario here. I do like Stephen Percy, the dude from Rat, his way of going about the sleazy singing style. I'm not a big fan of, to be honest, Vince Neil's sleazy singing style, and that's because I think the guy from Rat is a better singer, to be honest. I don't hate Vince Neil. I just don't think he's the best singer in the world. There are other kind of singing styles that you observe in glam metal. There's the Brian Johnson, Udo Dirkschneider kind of screechy, shrieky way of singing. I do love Dirkschneider and Brian Johnson, and I feel like I hear that singing style in Dirty Looks, for example, in their stuff, and also to some extent in the more glammy Kicks albums. And although maybe Kicks, maybe his singing style on those albums is somewhere in between the sleazy and the screechy singing style. Again, it's more of a case-by-case situation to me. I like some of the guys that have that singing style and some of the guys that don't. Or some of the guys that all have that singing style I don't like. So it's a case-by-case thing. You also have the kind of husky voice, like... It's not that husky, but the Matt Alfonsetti from Jagged Edge. I do kind of like his way of going about it. You also have, I think Richie Kotzen qualifies as a husky-voiced guy. I kind of like his voice too. But an example of a husky-voiced singer that I don't hate, but sometimes goes a bit over the top, is the guy from Gorky Park. It's a bit too much for me sometimes. You also have the the kind of technical but still kind of rock belter kind of singer like Sebastian Bach from Skid Row, right? Who's very talented and uses a lot of singing techniques, advanced singing techniques, but still belts a lot. Again, case by case scenario for me. You have the very kind of like soulful, dark voiced singer, you know, and again, case by case. You have the unique singing styles as well, like, you know, Axl Rose. Nobody sounds quite like him, and I don't like Axl Rose's singing style that much, but I do like Guns N' Roses. So I do understand where Josh is coming from here, but to me, I'm coming from kind of the same place actually. To me, it's just more like maybe my approach is, rather than style by style by style, it's singer by singer by singer by singer. Another thing that Josh had a problem with, the image, the fashion. This is the Rat EP I grabbed in Mint Records. And yeah, I mean, outrageous look. Big hair, colorful outfits, makeup, almost an androgynous appearance. And Rat aren't even the most outrageous glam metal bands. You see, there's some that go completely overboard. Looking back, I agree with Josh. In retrospect, it's lame. It's outdated. It's cheesy, and it's kind of sad. But going back in time to the 80s, and just looking at the popular music scene at the time, like pop music and rock music and all of that stuff, that kind of androgynous look was actually not that uncommon. You had Duran Duran. They didn't look that androgynous, but they had big hair and colorful outfits. Aha, I think, had big hair too, and some of their, not that bad, but in some of their releases. You had Boy George, very androgynous appearance. You had, I don't remember what they were called, but the Spin Me Right Round, Baby Right Round. That artist, not fucking Flo Rida, but the original one. So it was actually very common back in the day. And what I think the glam guys just did was they took that kind of androgynous, glamorous look and just made it hyperbole, exaggerated it completely. And it's also interesting if you look at the history of glam metal, the first kind of generation or wave of glam metal bands, they did have colorful outfits, a bit of makeup, some hairspray, like Van Halen, Quiet Riot. I consider them an early glam band, but it was nothing compared to what came later. Then you had, Rat, Motley Crue, Poison. They took it up a notch with the androgynous look and the makeup and the big hair and the wearing lingerie and spandex and latex and leather and whatever, right? And then you have even, the third and fourth kind of generation glam metal bands. They went completely over the top, to the point, I will concede this, to the point where it seemed to be more about image than about music. The first sort of two generations of glam metal bands, they were actually, I think, very good musicians, and they put a lot of effort into songwriting and, performing well on their instruments. So yeah, I think that the fashion, looking back, yeah, cheesy, but I think back then, I think it was, people thought it was kind of cool, and also the makeup and all that stuff. I also considered maybe to be part of the theatricality of rock music in general. There are lots of artists that were theatrical. You had shock rock, right? I guess Kiss count as a shock rock band, but King Diamond, Alice Cooper, they all had makeup. You had kind of like the spacey and weird progressive rock of the 70s and late 60s, right? You had Peter Gabriel with flower outfits and funny hairdos, and also makeup, and you had Yes with silver capes and stuff like that. And subsequently, after glam metal, you had black metal guys with their corpse paint and all that stuff. So I think part of the glam metal fashion, over the top hyperbole, makeup and colorful outfits, I see that as just theatricality. And also you did have glam metal bands that were not that much over the top. For example, you have Crocus here. They're normally not considered a glam metal band, but this one is the album that everybody hates, The Blitz. I grabbed this one in Mint Records because they took it in a more commercial pop metal glam direction, and you can see they had a stylist certainly helping them out here, but they are nowhere as outrageous as some of the other sort of glam metal bands. You also had glam metal acts that were not glammy. They did not have a whole bunch of hairspray. They didn't have the colorful, outrageous spandex and leather and latex and lingerie outfits. They had more like streetwear. An example is White Lion here. They do look like pretty boys, but they have jeans and tank tops and t-shirts. This is Fight to Survive. I also grabbed this one in Mint Records, right? Still pretty boys, but nowhere near the same level of outrageousness. This was more like the rock and roll, streetwear aspect of glam metal that you did see a lot of bands have that image. I think Skid Row is another example of that. Guns N' Roses, if you consider them a glam metal band. And then you have Mersey as an example of a glammy or glam adjacent band. This is self-titled. I grabbed this one from Black Light Records. Mersey, they don't look glammy at all. No hairspray. This guy has slightly big hair, but I think it's just because of his natural curls, or maybe it's the wind. They look like guys you would run into in a pool bar or something like that. Mercy, self-titled hard rock, melodic, glammy, musically, but not image-wise. By the way, this guy here, Tim André, I don't know the circumstances under which my dad knew him, but my dad knew him personally to some extent. I think maybe he knew his parents. He was like a local boy from the town I grew up in. I don't know if the rest of the band are from the same town. Great guitarist, very talented. He was in an AC/DC band as well called Dirty Deeds, I think. He died tragically in a hang glider accident. So a great loss to this local rock music scene, and obviously a great loss to, his family and his friends and stuff. But yeah, so you have some glam metal bands that have kind of like streetwear, still look like pretty boys. You have some glam metal bands that don't look glammy or outrageous at all. And you also had a lot of non-glam heavy metal bands that adopted the same image, partially I think inspired by the success of glam metal, and partially probably by the overall kind of like popular music scene image kind of thing in the 80s. So Judas Priest, of course, on Turbo, big hair, outrageous hyperbolic leather outfits. Turbo is not, I think, a glam metal album. It's a hard rock album to me. Infamously, Celtic Frost on Cold Lake, teased hair. One of the guys apparently forgot how to zip his pants. Unfairly considered a glam metal album. I think it's just a heavy metal album. You had Queensryche on Rage for Order with eyeliner, teased hair, lipstick, very colorful outfits. That's kind of like that's a progressive metal album, right? You had Storm Witch on, I think it's Beauty and the Beast, the one with the great pirate song on it. It's Tigers of the Sea. They look like a hyperbolic version of Adam and the Ants. Very colorful outfits, very big hair. Traditional metal band. You had Nitro, speed metal band. They went over the top. They were obviously making fun of glam metal. So yeah, in hindsight, the fashion, cheesy, sad, and kind of pathetic. But back in the day, I think it was considered very cool, actually. I don't have a problem with it myself, to be honest. Another thing that Josh mentioned as something he had a problem with, the choruses. And Josh found the choruses repetitive, simple, poppy, low quality. Personally, I like a good chorus. I like a chorus that's memorable. I like a chorus that I can sing along to. But I do, and I think maybe that's where Josh is coming from. If the song has kind of like the characteristic where you can see that it's the chorus that they put the most effort into, and the rest of the song is just forgettable. And I see this a lot in pop music today, but also from back in the day, where literally the only thing I recognize is the chorus. I don't even remember what the verse sounds like. And if the song starts playing and I don't remember it or recognize it until I get to the chorus, because the verses are low effort. Yeah, in that situation, I have a problem with the choruses, but I guess then really I have a problem with the entire song. But I do like a chorus that's memorable, that I can sing along to, and if the rest of the song is also, good and memorable. And one example from glam metal, from White Lion, Big Game here, is this one here, Little Fighter. It's a very good song. It has Little Rise Again, Little Fighter, right? Very memorable, sing-along friendly chorus, but it's a very good song generally that I like. Also here, right, White Lion, very subdued in terms of their glamorous appearance. So yeah, Big Game. I grabbed this one, by the way, in Mint Records 2. Just another White Lion one here, Pride. Grabbed it in Mint Records 2. So I like a good chorus if the rest of the song is also kind of like high effort. And that doesn't matter whether we're talking glam metal or pop music or other types of heavy metal or whatever. And there are lots of other heavy metal bands that are not glam that have, big sing-along choruses that are memorable in different ways, and the song itself is also memorable. Pretty much all of Iron Maiden's songs are like that, I would say. Same thing with the Judas Priest. AC/DC have lots of songs like that where you can sing along to the chorus and the rest of the song is good too. The Tigers of the Sea by Stormwitch. Tigers of the Sea. Na 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 na. Great song, great chorus. Running Wild. A lot of their old songs, fantastic choruses, and the songs are fantastic too. Metallica, Enter Sandman, and also I would say earlier Metallica, right? Master Puppets. I know it's not a melodic chorus. Master Puppets pulling the strings, right? Memorable, great song. Walk by Pantera, right? Again, not super melodic, but simple, memorable. And there are lots of glam metal songs that I like. I like the choruses. I like the entire song. Little Fighter is one of them. Youth Gone Wild by Skid Row. We are the youth gone wild. That's a great fucking song. Body Talk by Rat. Motley Crue had lots of those songs as well. Girls. Oh, stupid lyrical theme, but memorable chorus and a pretty good song. Dr. Feelgood, a great song, memorable chorus. Right? So there are lots of those glam bands that have these choruses, but the rest of the song is memorable, and I can recognize it instantly. I don't need to wait until the chorus comes along. So I like a good chorus, but I agree, if that is Josh's take on it, I agree with him that if the chorus is the only kind of high effort part of the song, yeah, then I'm not a big fan of that. But then I'm not a big fan of the song as a whole. Okay, so another thing that Josh had a problem with glam metal was the commercial aspect of it. The fact that glam metal was the most commercially successful genre of metal back in the 80s, meaning that a lot of sort of non-metal people, they thought that's what metal was all about. Hairspray, spandex, latex, makeup, androgynous appearances, songs about having sex with underage girls, partying and drinking all night long, and all that stuff. And the success of glam metal kind of took away the attention from other types of metal. So kind of put the other types of metal at a disadvantage. And I think that was the case. And I agree with Josh on that. There's kind of like a shame for the other, genres of metal. But there's another sort of perspective you can take on it. I think there's a way in which pop metal, glam metal, AOR, all those kind of like very soft and commercial types of metal actually benefited metal. I know a lot of death metal guys, thrash metal guys, power metal guys, traditional metal guys, and grindcore guys, whatever. And yeah, guys, because back then metal was a sausage fest. Now there's more diversity, and I think that's much better for metal. But back then, a lot of guys. If you ask them, okay, so which band was the first metal band you heard that got you into metal? They will go, as Bon Jovi. Okay, what was the first kind of favorite metal song you had? And they will probably go, Valley of Lost Souls. I think that's what it's called, by Poison, or Youth Gone Wild, or something like that by Skid Row. What was the first album you bought? Hysteria by Def Leppard. So a lot of people that ended up liking thrash metal, death metal, black metal, grindcore, power metal, groove metal, traditional metal, you name it. A lot of those people started out in pop metal, in glam metal. And I don't think they would have gone into metal had it not been for the very accessible and commercial end of metal, glam metal. So in that respect, I think the other genres of metal have also kind of benefited a bit from glam metal. Now, the commerciality of glam metal, I do think, was part of what killed glam metal off eventually. I think people, towards the fourth generation of glam metal, where it was all about the looks, all about the power ballads, we'll get to that, all about that, and not so much about the rock and roll part of it and the songwriting and the musicianship. I think that's a big reason why people turned their backs to not just glam metal, but to metal in general. Again, because as Josh points out, a lot of people thought that's all metal was about. They turned their backs to metal and adopted, grunge instead. I picked this one up in Mint Records too. This is the exact opposite of glam metal. This is grunge rock, Bach handle, worth dying for, right? You can see they have the flannel shirts, right? The grungy Seattle kind of fashion. I'm not a big fan of grunge, to be honest, but Bach Handel's style of grunge is so filthy and dirty that I really, really enjoy it. But I think a lot of people turned their backs on glam metal because they had enough of the big hair and the hairspray and all that. It was all just about fashion and image and not so much about music towards the end of glam metal. Of course, grunge, it only took a year or two. Then grunge itself had become fashion, image, more about that than about the music. My opinion is, I think grunge was glam metal without the glamour. Glamour? You know what I mean? I think grunge ended up being the new glam metal, to be honest. It just didn't have the same glamour about it, you know what I mean? So yeah, the commerciality, I think it ultimately killed off glam metal itself and caused a blowback to metal, but it also, I think, brought a lot of people down the metal pipeline. Then Josh mentioned the rivalry between thrash metal and glam metal. And personally, because maybe my metal pipeline was not from glam to extreme metal, I kind of dumped into metal kind of in the middle of the whole thing. Like I got into Iron Maiden. So I went in both directions. I discovered thrash metal and glam metal about around the same time. So I always just ignored the rivalry between thrash and glam metal. So if I came across a band I liked and it was thrash metal, I liked it and it happened to be thrash metal. If I came across a band I liked and it was glam metal, I liked it and it happened to be glam metal. I think I do prefer thrash metal over glam metal, to be honest. There's just more thrash metal bands I like, and I like the aggression and the speed. And if you've watched my channel, you do know that I like thrash metal quite a lot. But yeah, so that whole rivalry, I've just ignored it. I've ignored the gatekeeping, the elitism in metal. I very, very, very early realized that that's not constructive or anything, right? So I just ended up liking what I liked. So the thrash glam rivalry doesn't mean anything to me, to be perfectly honest. I like both genres. And I did pick up some albums that kind of have both, maybe not glam metal, but hard rock and kind of more the street kind of glam metal, melodic hard rock. So there was this Till Death Us Do Part compilation, the Def Jam one. One of my I picked this one up. I bought it from Blacklight Records. One of my friends back in the day had this one, and we listened to it very much. It has Danzig, so that's traditional metal hard rock. You got the Four Horsemen, the Black Crows. They're more on the hard rock side of things, more of this kind of dirty street kind of hard rock side of things. But I will say they do venture a bit into some glammy stuff every now and then. You got Masters of Reality on here, Slayer, so that's fucking thrash, you know. Wolfsbane as well, and Trouble, right? So I kind of like this one because it kind of represents kind of the diversity and some of the different things that were part of the metal scene back in the day. Till Death Us Do Part. Now, Josh mentioned that he didn't like the glam metal ballads. I'm with him 154% on that one. The glam metal power ballad has ruined ballads for me. It's traumatized me. They were so sappy. It was so obvious that, especially in the second, third, and especially fourth generation glam metal bands, the ballad was a cash grab. It was just to sell records to women, basically. And they were, hollow. They were sappy, poppy. I couldn't stand them. The worst example of that, and I know I'm gonna get lynched for this, is "Home Sweet Home" by Motley Crue. That's just a disgusting, despicable song to me. And remember, I don't hate Motley Crue. I quite like Motley Crue, but that song, ugh. So you had lots of power ballads that just ruined. I'm traumatized. Now, it's only now within the last 2 to 3 years that I've started being able to enjoy ballads again. Thanks to Bandmate, Japanese hard rock band, and also thanks to the pre-glam metal new wave of British heavy metal and European and German heavy metal ballads. Before glam metal was a thing, there are lots of really good new wave of British heavy metal ballads. Bleak House, Rainbow Warrior, I think is very good. They're more kind of like rough around the edges, which I really like. Remember Tomorrow, Strange World, the Iron Maiden ballads. So I can finally enjoy a ballad again, but I avoid power ballads. Fade to Black, Metallica, it's a good. The Metallica ballads from back in the day, I think, are actually very good. Fade to Black, I think Sanitarium counts as a ballad. One, I think, counts as a ballad. And they're obviously not, sappy ballads. Cemetery Gates by Pantera counts as a ballad. And there are some kind of glam metal ballads that I do like. 18 and Life, I kind of like that one, although I'm too old to relate to the lyrics anymore. I like that one. If again Guns N' Roses count as a glam metal band, I like Sweet Child of Mine. I don't like a lot of the ballads on Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. They're a bit cheesy in my opinion. So I'm on 100% with Josh on that one. And I think I might dislike ballads slightly more than he does. So there you go. He doesn't like ballads. I don't like ballads either, for sure. So as you can see, I kind of see where he's coming from with a lot of these points. And I don't disagree with him on all of them. Some of them I just have a different perspective on him. And there's some more things that I can kind of add, I think. Some problems I have perhaps with glam metal. the lyrics, the party hard, the have sex with underage girls, doesn't sit well with me. The misogyny, the objectification of women doesn't sit well with me. Party all night, party all day. I can't relate to that much myself. So that's one thing I kind of don't appreciate about glam metal. I also think that it's kind of sad that you have, the glam metal bands who are now in the 50s and 60s still singing about having sex with underage girls. Not good. So there's some additional things I could add, but as I don't hate glam metal, I think that should be obvious. I don't disagree with Josh on many of his points. I just come at it from a different perspective. Just to finish off the update part, I picked up this one, Dead Ringer Direct Line. Traditional metal, hard rock kind of stuff. Not really glam, but maybe glam adjacent in some parts. And the last one, The Final Frontier by Keel. I do consider this to be in the neighborhood of glam metal. But they're one of the glammy bands that do focus a lot on music and not just image. An awesome cover artwork. So that was my response to Josh. As you could see, no YouTube drama. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I respect Josh. I don't want to get into drama or any kind of feud with him because he's a good guy. His channel is good. I respect his opinions. And as I said, I just have different perspectives on some of the points that he brings up. In any case, thanks for watching.